Hello crafty friends, it's Jayma Malme here, and today I'm going to share my tried and true methods for selecting photos, selecting paper, selecting a layout design, and even finding some time for scrapbooking so that you can get your scrapbooking done faster and more efficiently. If you're anything like me, you probably set a goal this year to scrapbook more. It sounds good in theory, right? We want to get more scrapbooking done and we want to do what brings us joy. But it's easier said than done to find the time. So I'm going to address that in just a moment. And I'm also going to break down my process step by step so you can see exactly what I do to plan for a layout before I actually start. And now recently I actually started creating kits so that I have everything planned ahead of time before I actually go to scrapbook. So I'm going to show you how I do it right before a layout, if I'm going to just plan a layout and do the layout, or how I create page kits to make it faster, like for the whole month, or if I'm planning to go to a crop or a retreat so that I can more efficiently get more layouts done. So let's dive in. Let's start with what I think is the biggest hurdle for most of us, and that is time. Why is it so hard to find time to scrapbook? Well, I have found that it is super helpful if I actually put it on my calendar. Whether you are a planner person, you can put it on your planner. I put it on the calendar in my phone, and then I share it with my husband so that he is aware that this is my scrapbook time. Don't touch it. So you have to figure out, work around your work schedule, your family schedule, other things that you have going on. I also take into consideration, when do I feel the most creative? Usually for me, that's in the afternoon or in the evening after the kids go to bed. It's really hard for me to concentrate and feel creative if there's chaos going on in the house. Even if they give me my time in my room, I can hear everything that's going on out there, and I don't want to lock myself in the room when my family's home and I can go spend time with them. So figure out what is that ideal time for you and schedule it, because inevitably other things are going to creep in, and if that's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. For me, I have found that if I schedule it, if it's on my calendar, it's going to happen and I'm going to work around it. So that's going to look different for all of you, but I hope that that is helpful. I have also found it really helpful to schedule a Zoom with your crafty friends. If you've got a Zoom, especially involving other people, on the calendar, you are going to keep to that commitment, and it's so fun to scrapbook with friends. It's the next best thing to going to a crop or retreat, because you got your friends right there in front of you in the privacy of your own craft room, and you don't have to pack everything up. I also did a scrapbooking challenge a couple of months ago, and I will link to that down below, because in that I shared lots of tips for doing just a little bit to work towards scrapbooking each day. So for example, one day I chose my photos, and one day I chose my sketch, and one day I chose my paper, and then one day I started putting the layout together and then do the embellishing. So just little bits here and there as you have time. But I'm going to go ahead and dive into showing you how I select my paper, cardstock colors, photos, all of that. I'm going to turn the camera around and show that to you. So let's dive in and we'll look at that process. First, I thought I would show you my page kits, and then I'll show you how I go about putting them together for maximum efficiency. So these are some that I have left over from a recent retreat that I went to. And what I did was I put the paper I want to use, the cardstock, and a sketch and the photos. I'm going to walk you through the order of how I do this that works really well for me. Now, I work probably backwards to what most of you do most of the time. I select my paper first because I am very inspired by new or something I haven't used yet. And in this case, it was this vellum. I knew that I wanted to use these pine sprigs on some snow layouts. So I went looking for some snow photos in my phone. So this paper was my jumping off point, and then I wanted to find some supporting paper because I can't just use vellum, right? So I've got a lot of hot pink and blue, and then of course the snow and the trees. So I pulled out this winter meadow because that has a lot of blue, and I thought that looked really nice. And then I have this as an option, and I just pulled in some supporting papers from this side would work as well, from that pack. And then I pulled in some cardstock that would work. Now I think I'm probably going to stick with these, and I actually need to add some dark blue because I might want to add some dark blue as well. And then I also threw in some hot pink, but I just want to point out that a lot of times when you have a really prominent bright color in your photos, you don't always want to bring that out in your mats or your paper, because by leaving that bright color as just being in the photos, it helps your photos to pop. So if I were to mat my photos in this, or maybe use it somewhere else, that's going to draw this bright color around the page, which might be good in some cases. But another thing that it does if you don't bring that in is your photos really pop because you've got that punch of hot pink. So just something to think about. I don't know how this is going to play out yet, but stay tuned and subscribe to my channel and you just might see this layout come up soon. So the sketch is something that I actually select before I print my photos. So I select them on my phone. I select the sketch before I actually print, and then that tells me what sizes to print my photos, because a lot of times I will print 3x4 photos, and so by selecting my sketch first I know what size to print them. So I'll walk you through that process. And then as I was looking for photos and found these, I also ran across these photos from a recent girls ski trip that we did last spring. So I thought, oh, that'll probably work with these papers too. I'll just find a sketch and print those and toss them in here as well. I may or may not use this same paper with it, but I thought, why not? So I had two options for this paper, and so that was one kit. Here's another one that I made. This is all just one paper pack, and then I selected the sketch to go with it. By the way, most of these sketches, like these ones over here, they are from the Creative Design Team sketchbooks. We have 3 12x12 sketchbooks out now. They even have the cutting guide, so you know exactly what size to cut everything. And the most recent, volume 3, is 12x12 layouts using 6x6 or smaller paper. So it's perfect for 6x6 paper packs or scraps, or of course you can always use 12x12 paper and cut it down as well. But it's really cool that you have some really great ideas for using 6x6 paper. And then this sketch is from our Creative Design Team membership, from one of the handouts from one of Andrea's classes. So that's another great way to get sketches. If you are in our Creative Design Team membership, then you'll find this in most of our handouts. Now, our Creative Design Team membership is currently closed, but I'll leave a link down below to the waitlist so you'll get notified next time we open, which, spoiler alert, is going to be probably the end of February or early March. We're only open a couple times of a year. All right, and then here is another example where I was going through my photos, and it's really fun to go through your photos, and you know, it kind of sparks memories. But I saw these photos, which was from our anniversary dinner a few months ago, and when I saw these, I immediately thought of this paper, and I hadn't used this paper yet, so I thought, okay, let me find a sketch to use just 2 photos. It's always harder for me to scrapbook just a couple of photos. I do better with lots of photos. So I found a couple of inspirational photos from my own Instagram account. You guys are welcome to scraplift from my own Instagram account. You might find a sketch that works for you, or a sketch from Pinterest, or another layout idea from Pinterest, or there's so many places to find inspiration. But I just printed off these ones that I was inspired from my own Instagram account and put it into this paper pack, and I was ready to go. So that's pretty much how I do all of my kits. So now let me walk you through the process of actually how I put this together. All right, so I've got 4 beautiful new paper packs in front of me. I mentioned I work backwards for most of you, where I like to start with my paper, because look at all this beautiful paper. I want to play with it. Plus, I love to show you guys ideas using the new paper from Stampin' Up. So I am going to select photos to go with these papers and make myself a quote-unquote kit, so that when I'm ready to scrapbook, I've got photos and a sketch and everything already selected. So let's look at how I would do that. Now, by the way, if you're not going to make a kit, you can follow the same steps that I'm going to show you, but then just stop and do your layout after that. The other reason I like starting with the paper first is that I find it easier to find photos to match the paper rather than the other way around. Now, you could definitely start with the photos first, but this is just, again, this is just how I like to do it, and I want to share my tips with you. So this paper here is what I want to start with, because I was so inspired by this. Look at that beautiful gold foiling. We've got birthday cakes, and I know that I have photos of my daughter's birthday that I haven't scrapbooked yet that are going to go well with this, so I just need to find them. I love this paper here. This is all two-sided though, and I've got them all flipped over, so you can see that not all of them have to be birthday. There's just a stripe. This one is just little flowers. This is a beautiful floral print that would be lovely for any time, or Mother's Day or anything like that, just springtime. So there's lots of options here. This looks like little banners, but it doesn't have to be for birthday. It's just a great stripe. So lots of great options, and I'm sure I'll be using this paper pack for more than just birthday, but I want to start with birthday. So let me show you how I go about finding my photos. So I have an iPhone, so these instructions are going to be for an iPhone. I'm sorry I don't have a Samsung or know how to use one, but it probably can do some similar things. So when you open up your photos, you've got the albums down here now, but it opens up somewhere about here. When you pull this down, and just enough, you'll start seeing this years, months are all down here. So I know that I scrapbooked my daughter's birthday from this past year, but not the year before. So I'm going to start at years and go to 2023. If you know the exact date, you can actually search in the search bar for that exact date, but I don't remember what day her actual party was. But I do know that it was in August, so I'll go to August. It doesn't show you all of them, it shows you a sampling of the days. So I'm going to start at, well, actually I can see right here, that was her birthday party. The 27th was her birthday, and I can tap there and go straight to it. But if you didn't know exactly which one, I just swiped like that to get back. If you didn't know exactly where, you could tap the August 2023 or tap somewhere in the middle, like the 11th, and just scroll until you get there. But I'm going to go right to the 27, and then what I've already done is I have already hearted, I've already favorited all of my favorite ones that I want to scrapbook. And typically I do that right after an event. I've just kind of trained myself to do that. So that is a big tip. If you can get in the habit of marking as favorite after an event, that will save you time later when you want to go and scrapbook. Especially if you're like on a road trip or flying home somewhere, that's a good thing to do on the plane or in the car on the way home. So I have already marked all of the ones that I want to use as favorites. Sometimes I will mark more than I actually need. So I'm going to show you a couple of tips to sort this to make sure that you have what you want to print. So first of all, I'm going to press these arrows down here, and I want to filter by favorites. So now you can see the heart right here. Now you can see that it's just all of my favorites, so I don't have all that stuff in between anymore. So her birthday is starting right here, and then I've got it going all the way to here. That is a lot of photos, so I might want to go in and weed some of those out. I know that I'm definitely, like, here's two. There's my daughter, and there's my daughter right after the bubbles were poured on. They're very similar, so I'm thinking I don't need to print that one because that one is really similar. And then a lot of these are similar, so I'll just go through and make sure that I actually want to print all of them that I want to print. The other thing I can do is go back here and then view options. So I'm going to tap view options and I'm going to go to aspect ratio grid. And you see how now it's showing me if it's a portrait orientation or a landscape orientation. Typically I keep it on this square photo grid because it's just nice and neat and I can see things at a glance, and I just like that view better. It's like Instagram. But when I'm going to print photos, I want to know if it's landscape or portrait. So this way I know if I'm going to need a landscape or a portrait orientation spot when I go to choose my sketch. So what I'm going to do now is go through and make sure I have favorited only the ones that I want to print, and then we'll come back. Okay, I've narrowed them down to 12 and I've already selected my sketch. So let me show you how I keep my sketches. This is how I have all of the creative design team sketches. We have 3 volumes of the 12 by 12 sketchbooks like I mentioned, and I just print them myself at home. I have a nice printer and I have the eco tank and everything, and then I need to get some better tabs, but I just tab them with a sticky note here for now, and I have hole punched them. And then at the front I've actually got a bunch of sketches from our membership. So at the front is all the membership sketches I've printed, and then we've got all of the sketchbooks. There's an 8.5 by 11 sketchbook back there. So I went through and looked through this whole book. These come as digital downloads, by the way, so you will have to print them, or some people send them out to be printed. You can get them bound and everything. I like having them all together in this 3-ring binder though, so that's what I have been doing with the 12 by 12 sketches. So here we can see that I've got quite a mix of portrait and landscape photos. So I found a sketch that has a pretty good mix. Now just looking at it, it doesn't necessarily look like it's a good mix. We've got some square, we have a lot of portrait, and then we have 1 landscape. But I remember using this sketch before, and I actually turned this 5 by 7 into 2 landscape 4 by 6s. So I'm going to do the same, and then I'll probably add a flip flap on one, and then that is going to give me enough. I might need to add 1 more photo flip flop actually. So I'll add 1 here, so that'll be 1, 2, 3 photos in each spot, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'll need 1 more flip flop probably here so we don't have anything overlapping it. And then I can either have the journaling here as called for, or do another photo, or do the journaling underneath my flip flap here. So I'm going to look at my photos and make sure that I have at least 3 that can trim to 3 by 3. So this one definitely can. I want to probably crop, that looks like my son's head there. And then I could crop this one to a square if I need to. This one I could, although I might leave this as a bigger one just because it's like her with her cupcake and everything, make it a little bigger. And then I could crop this to a square as well. Isn't that cute? I love that big old smile on her face, which makes me happy because she actually was kind of in a funk for this birthday. Something happened and she was kind of moody for a while, so I'm really glad that there's one where she's got a big old smile on her face. So that covers my squares, and then I have quite a few group shots that can be 4 by 6 landscape, and here's one of those. So I'll print 3 of those, there's another one, as the landscape. So I have some decisions to make, like for the piñata photos, I've got 1, 2, 3 that are portrait, and then 1 that's landscape. So I could print this one actually as the 4 by 3 landscape, and then have all the piñata ones on 1 page. But I don't think I need them all to be, you know, shown on the page. So I might do those ones as the flip flops, and I could do this one as one of the 4 by 6 flip flops, and then print these 2 together so they flip up and form a 3 by 4. And then this one can be underneath that and have like a journal card next to it, and then that will take care of not needing another flip flap over here, I think. And then this can be my other group shot. and then this one can be over here, and then I have 1, 2, 3 as the ones down here. So I think I have that figured out. One more step I'm going to do to make it easier for me to find the ones that I want to print, because I do collage them first, is I'm going to add them to an album. So I am going to select all of the ones I'm printing, and then this little arrow right here, I'll tap that and then add to album. And then I have an album called Kaylin's Birthday, and I just put all the years in that album because it's easy enough to find that album and find the photos I want when it's time to print. Then I am going to go ahead and collage them into the 3x4s, and then I actually print the 3x3s as 3x4s as well, and I will just crop them to 3x3. I have a whole video though showing how I collage and print photos smaller than 4x6, so I will link a couple of those at the end of this video. All right, my photos are printed. It is 7 prints because a lot of them are 3x4. So here are the 2 that are going to be 4x6 over on the side. And then we have another collage of the piñata ones that's going to go underneath this. Now I did it with the white border in between because I'm not cutting these apart. I'm just going to leave it as a 4x6, so I decided to have that little separator there. But all the other ones I'm going to be cutting. So remember, this is one of them that I'm cutting to 3x3, but I printed it as 3x4. I'll crop it in half to be 2 3x4s, and then I will just chop an inch off the bottom, and that will give me my 3x3. I find that it's easier to do this, and I kind of eyeball and size this knowing that it's going to be cropped, so I don't make it any bigger and have anything down here that I'm cutting off that I don't want to. It's just easier than trying to figure out how to make it 3x3 for me. And then these ones are also going to be 3x3. So a little bit of his head is going to be showing probably, but it'll be about like that. And then these are 2 of them that are going to be 3x4. So that will be cropped in half and be 2 photos. And then you can also print 4x3 on the same print as the 3x4. You'll just rotate it in the collage app that I use. Again, I went over all that in the other video. So I use PicFrame, that's my favorite app, but I have done a couple of other videos showing other apps where you can collage them into 3x4. So I will list all of those down below. So this is the one that's going to be 4x3 over here, and then this one is going to be under here. So, and then that's going to be one of the other 3x4s over here. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out what papers I'm going to use. So with the sketch, I have 3 main papers to select. This one back here, this one here, and this one here. And it's basically mirrored on both sides. So, and then this background here has a little bit showing. That will probably just be white cardstock. Now this paper here, I probably want to incorporate some way. I really love all of the little icons, although with this particular pack, which by the way releases on January 7th, there are a lot of little pop-outs back here. So I have a lot of embellishment options back here, so I want to keep that in mind. It looks like those are both the same. I want to keep that in mind, so I don't necessarily have to save these for embellishments, but there are some really cute little tags here. And if you maybe don't have enough photos to fill up all of the photo spots, these are great options to fill up a photo spot. Like this little guy looks like he's about 3x3, so that could fill one of the 3x3 spots nicely. Or for example, if I was going to have an extra photo and need a flip-flop here like I had talked about, I could put one of these little guys underneath as a little spot holder, since I only needed 1 extra photo, but with a flip-flop you get 2. So lots of things you can do with this. This is what's on the back of that. I'm pretty sure that I want to use this cake because this paper is what kind of inspired me. And looking at this, I'm thinking I want to have it across the bottom as this piece here, because that's going to allow it to show the most. Plus, since it's kind of busy, there won't be any photos right on top of it. So a lot of times when you put photos on a busy paper, they get a little bit lost. So let's see what else we have. The orange looks okay, but I don't have a lot of orange in my photos. Plus orange is not really one of my favorite colors, so I don't typically like to bring that out. This one, I feel like it just kind of blends in to this. Now this one I like that it's a kind of a mix in. It's kind of a, you know, very tiny print, almost a solid. That would look pretty as the one that goes back here, and then we would have the white border back there. So now we need this strip that goes down the middle of each side. Again, I don't want something real busy because the photos are going to be on them unless I do bigger photo mats. So we could have, if I can grab it, this is an option. I do like that, but it's really close to this, so I feel like they kind of just blend into each other. Plus that's a lot of gold foil. This one's gorgeous, but these are like the same scale, so I don't want to use both of those. Plus again, you know, a lot of gold foil. This one could work. I have a lot of pink in here, but I don't know. I don't love these next to each other. They feel like they're kind of different vibes. I'm not feeling that one. So we have two other options. This one again, they're too similar in scale. And then this is too close to this. So I've run out of options with this particular paper pack, but I have a couple other paper packs in mind. This wood grain pack is a really good, just all-purpose pack because there's so many different colors of wood grain. I was thinking maybe this right here because we have the blue. Let's see if we want to bring in, I actually kind of like that. So I'm going to keep that as an option. I think I have a full sheet in here. I could also go more with something like this, but I feel like that blends in with that too much. Of course, the wood grain also has a little bit different feel than this, but I kind of am liking that rustic mix between the kind of gold foil glam and this blue rustic. Let me find another, oh here, right on the top. I've gotten a couple of these paper packs so far. That could work. I'm kind of liking it. And then the other pack that I have in mind is this one. This was a special. This is the Serene Love DSP. And the fronts of all of these are floral, and then the back is more graphic. So I was thinking more like this, but now I don't like that. I think that's too bold to go with the rest. So I'm actually leaning toward this. That's too bold. This, I like the color because it's a little darker than that gold foiled one that's this kind of aqua color, but the print is so small scale like this. So let me see what else we have in here. This one, that could potentially work, but you know what? I am just, for some reason, I'm really drawn to this, and I think I can pull this in other ways too. I'll tell you, if you get one paper pack that can kind of be mixed in with so many others, it would be this wood grain paper pack. It's called Country Woods, and there's lots of neutrals and different colors of wood. It's just been a really great collection. So I'm pretty set with these right here. I may change my mind when I actually go to create the layout, but I'm gonna go ahead and put these into my little kit together, and I'm going to put this up on the top. Now if I were going to a retreat, I would probably just take out the pieces that I know I'm going to use. That way I'm not bringing all of this extra paper that I know that I'm not going to use, especially if I'm flying somewhere. It's extra weight. But since I'm just creating this kit at home, I'm just going to go ahead and put the whole pack in there. I also would bring one of these sheets with me if I were making a kit to take with me. But I'm just going to go ahead and put them all in there, and I'm going to put all of the photos in there. And now I want to select some cardstock. All right, so the catalog tells me that Pretty in Pink, Peach Pie, Pool Party, Soft Seafoam and Old Olive are coordinating colors. I don't have all of those colors in Stampin' Up, so this is actually Sweet Leaf from Close to My Heart, which is really old, and then Glacier from Close to My Heart. So I am going to pull those and also put them with my little kit. And when I go to actually create this layout, then I can decide what colors I want my mats and all of that. Most of the time I will mat my photos in white and then maybe add another color behind it. But this way I know that I have all of the coordinating colors. Now this color looks like Night of Navy, maybe a toned down version of Night of Navy, which is what this is as well. So I'm actually going to grab some Close to My Heart Sapphire, which is really close, to mix in with this as well. So it's funny, I started playing with the papers again after I pulled out this sapphire, and I was going over some of my footage, and in the video I actually liked this. I think it looks better on camera than it does in person though, because this has a little bit of texture that reminds me of denim, and I don't love it with this. But then I started playing around with some configurations. I got the white paper out that I thought I would use as the background here, and started playing like that. And I don't love the white, and I'm starting to feel if I have this light green, I might actually want a darker background. So then I brought in this wood grain again and could have the wood grain like that, but then I didn't like the green against the wood grain. So then I thought, well, what if I have this white as the front piece? And this is all stuff that I typically start playing with once I actually start working on the layout officially, but I just thought I would kind of play around and have some fun, and I do like this. There's also going to be a separator piece right here that's called for in the sketch. Maybe I'll do some gold foil, something like that. And then I also decided to bring this one back in. This is another pattern from that same set that this was from. And when that is just a border back here, I liked that a little bit better too. So we have a couple of options. I do still think I like my gut feeling of the wood grain. For some reason, that rustic and glam is just really looking good to my eye, but I could also go with just the cardstock, and I could even go with the light side of the cardstock. In fact, this color right here, I was looking at it a little more closely. It could be maybe even Blueberry Bushel. I'm not super versed in the Stampin' Up colors yet. I know with Close to My Heart colors, I could look at it and tell you exactly what it was right away. I'm kind of liking that too, because the back side of Sapphire is a little bit brighter, kind of like that. So I don't know, I just thought I would maybe play around a little bit. Maybe that could even work, or this could be my separator line, so I can still get that rustic in there. That might look kind of good. So anyways, just thought I would sort of play around with it. So I am going to put all of these actually together in my kit with my photos and my sketch. And I forgot to mention that these little envelopes, I have been using them for paper packs and for kits, and I absolutely love them. I get them from Amazon, and you get a lot to a pack, and they just keep things so neat and tidy. All right, so now I've got one kit done, and now if I were just ready to scrapbook right now, I wouldn't have put this in a kit. I can just grab everything that I pulled out and start scrapbooking. But I have found that when I'm in this zone of creating kits, it feels faster and more efficient to just create a bunch of kits at once. Kind of like when you listen to productivity speakers, they say to group like tasks together, and I feel like that's what this is. So this collection, this is a new one releasing January 7th, also Friends of the Ocean. I know that I have a lot of Hawaii photos from last summer to scrapbook still. So what I would do is go to my phone and search those Hawaii photos. I have all of those in an album, just like I put the birthday photos in an album. I do a lot of photo grouping in albums. It makes things really easy. But if you had like snow photos or beach photos or firework photos. Like, you can search all of those terms in your phone to find specific photos, or search by color. Like, maybe you want to search pink or search orange or search teal. You can search colors or seasons or dates or, you know, sea life, anything like that you can search in your phone, which makes it really nice. I thought I would show you one last example. This was a kit that I brought with me to the recent retreat, and I got my base pages done. I got the photos on, my photo mat colors decided. So half of the work is done for me. I didn't get it finished, but stay tuned and you'll see this finished on my channel very soon. This came from the Otterly Adorable. So a lot of this paper has otters on it, but there's not an otter in sight on my layout. It's just a hike in Hawaii, so that was really fun. I've also got these other papers that I'm sure I'll use very soon. Sale-a-Bration is coming up, so lots of exciting stuff the next couple of months. I hope you'll be able to implement some of these tips to help you be more efficient in your scrapbooking. If you'd like to learn how to collage your photos to 3x4 or smaller, then check out the video that's on screen here. Be sure to like this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!